shoot, 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 shoot.
All right, welcome, guys. This is Ren City doing his thing. This isn't episode 69 yet. This is a Euros Copa America recap slash predictions. That's right, because don't have episode 69 ready yet, but you know what? The quarterfinals are going down today, and I could not sleep at night or go on with my day knowing that I did not get my predictions out there. So let's start in the Euro Cup here. I think I was having some technical difficulties at the beginning of this show, so I heard you hope the theme song there and just didn't see me jiggle around for the first 10 seconds, but we'll see what happens. But going to the Euros, we got to the semis by wrapping up the quarterfinals, and man, what a match we got between Germany and Spain. There was some early rough play, I'm not going to lie. There were a lot of fouls by Toni Kroos that I'm like, how is he not getting a yellow card? But the legend got away with a lot. One foul. Less than 8 minutes into the game. It was a pretty harsh one. And the second one, Spain's Pedri had received in the game. And the 21-year-old had to get substituted out. He's had knee issues in the past, and it sucked to see him leave this game so early in the game. But Dani Olmo came in for him, and he kind of almost sparked the Spanish side, if you would. But the physical play continued in the first half. Rudiger would get a yellow card. So if Germany won this game and got to the semis, he wouldn't play. Then Spain's Lenormand would pick up a yellow card. So if Spain advanced, he wouldn't be able to play. Lots of fouls, no goals in the first half. But before the second half kicked off, there were some pretty big changes. Germany subbed out Emre Can for the pink-haired Robert Andrich. Lackluster Leroy Sané was not playing very well, and he was replaced with Florian Wirtz. Spain took defender Lenormand out the game for Nacho just to ensure he wouldn't get a second yellow. And in the second half, we'd see some wonderful passing, leading to Dani Olmo finding himself in the box where the 16-year-old Lamine Yamal spotted him and Olmo calmly passed it into the corner. And Spain led 1-0 after 51 minutes. A few minutes later, Germany would bring on super sub Nicholas Füllkrug for captain Ilkay Gundogan, and it would take until the 67th minute, but Toni Kroos finally got a yellow card for yet another foul. And then with 10 minutes left in the 90, both teams made some big changes, Spain taking off Alvaro Morata and high-flying Nico Williams for a pair of Mikels, Mikel Oyarzabal and Mikel Merino. Germany took off their defender Jonathan Tah for striker Thomas Müller, and they amped up their pressure but just could not find the back of the net. Unai Simon made big saves for Spain. Germany continued their pressure, constantly sending balls into the box, and then Mittelstadt sent one in, which was headed back by Joshua Kimmich, a lovely head back, right to substitute Wirtz, who smashed it into the net off the post, tying the game at 1 in the 89th minute. Wirtz bringing some of that Leverkusen magic to the game, and the host nation went bananas as this game would go to extra time. The first half of stoppage time, Dani Carvalho picked up a yellow for a blatant handball. That yellow would keep him out of the semifinals if Spain advanced. And early in the second extra time frame, Jamal Musiala's shot for Germany smashed into the Spanish defender's arm, Cucurella. There was a call for a handball, but it was not given. VAR, I don't even think, had a look. They said he was on the way to trying to move it behind him, but I don't know. It's a tough call. It proved to be costly, though, because late in the second extra time period, a lovely cross into the box by Dani Olmo was headed into the back of the net by substitute Mikel Merino. Only a second international goal for Spain, and that put Spain up 2-1 in the 119th minute. The dying seconds, Füllkrug had a header in the box that just narrowly missed the net, and the game continued, and Musiala got past Carval, who tackled the German with looks like something out of the NFL. And that was Carval's second yellow. He was dismissed by the match, but he knew he was already suspended for the next one, so not a bad play by him. Kind of smart to break up that run. And it gave up a last-second free kick for Germany, and Kroos put it in the box right into the keeper's hands, Simon, and Spain won 2-1, knocking out the host Germany with the last-minute goal. And it was the last match we'll see of German legend Toni Kroos. He announced he'd retire after Euros, and the Spanish team helped him sign those retirement papers. A great run for Germany. He played some of the more entertaining footy of the tournament, and it sucks to see Kroos retire, but you guys like Thomas Müller is getting up there, but you have Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, both are 21. That's scary for German opposition going forward. And Spain move on to the semifinals. So you had France meeting up with Portugal, some of the biggest stars on the planet, and despite that, we did not get a lot of action in the first half. We go into halftime scoreless with not a lot of chances created. The most excitement in the game came early in the second half when Kylian Mbappe took a ball off the side of his face where he's been wearing that mask to protect his facial injury he suffered early in the tournament. He looked in a bit of discomfort, but he kept going. Portugal will get some great chances, but Mike Mignon made some big saves for France to keep it scoreless. France's Eduardo Camavinga probably had the best chance of the game. The ball came to him just feet away from the net, but he missed it terribly. Then in a surprise move, Portugal brought off both João Cancelo and Bruno Fernandes in the 74th minute. The changes didn't really make any big impact, and this would go to extra time. In the second half of extra time, with still no goal in the game, we'd see some more surprising substitutions. Kylian Mbappe subbed out for France, replaced by Barcola. Portugal's biggest chance creator of the game, Rafael Leao, was removed for João Felix. Portuguese substitutes had a chance in the 108th minute, but Felix's shot went to the side netting, and that was it. And just like the game before, we'd go to penalties. France started off the penalties, or a little different than the game before. We almost went to penalties, but this was the real deal. And France started it off with Ousmane Dembele hitting the back of the net. Portugal responded with Cristiano Ronaldo finding the net. France's Fofana would then score, followed by Portugal's Bernardo Silva. France's Koundé would score, and then Portugal's substitute, João Felix, would smash his shot off the post, becoming the only miss of the shootout. And Theo Hernandez's shot in the net would give France the 5-3 penalties win, and France advanced to the semifinals. They'll have a tough semifinal bout with Spain, and it's just crazy to think how France has even got it this far. One goal. They haven't scored from open play. They've only scored one goal. In group play, they won via an own goal, 1-0 win over Austria, and their 1-1 draw with Poland. Mbappe scored a penalty. Round of 16, France beat Belgium 1-0 via an own goal. Then most recently, France just beat Portugal in penalties. So no goals from open play, one goal from their own team, and they're in the semifinals. That's just sums up how weird this tournament has been. But it goes on. England took on Switzerland. There was talks of whether Jude Bellingham would even play in this game. There was talks he could be suspended for motioning a groin grab after that round of 16 win over Slovakia. It was announced Jude would receive a hefty suspension, and if anything happens similar, I guess he gets suspended down the road. That's kind of interesting, but this game didn't have a lot to go with in the beginning. We go to halftime with no goals and not a lot of chances. In the second half, some crisp Swiss passing led to Dan Ndoye firing a low cross that had a little deflection on it and found its way to Breel Mbolo. He was the first two at beating Kyle Walker, and he put Switzerland up 1-0 after 75 minutes. England made some quick subs, and Saka, who looked like the best English player on the day, I'm not going to lie, he cut inside and kissed his shot off the post into the net, tying the game at 1 after 80 minutes. The game would stay that way after 90, and just like the two quarterfinals prior, this game would go to extra time. Deep in the second half of extra time, Switzerland almost scored an Olympico off a corner kick when substitute Shaqiri fooled Jordan Pickford off the corner, and it hit the crossbar. That would have been a stunner. And you know Shaqiri's like stone cold. He's full of stunners. And minutes later, they had another great chance. Pickford made a save. The ball would come to Switzerland again, but this time they'd missed the net. They really put on some late pressure, but it'd stay 1-1. We'd go to penalties. England would start it off with Chelsea penalty superstar Cole Palmer scoring. Switzerland's first shot taker, Akanji, would not do very well. It was easily saved by Pickford, and we'd see no more missed shots throughout. Trent Alexander-Arnold would be the last shooter for England, and he'd put it away to give England the 5-3 win in penalty, sending England to the semifinals. Netherlands had a meeting with Turkey, and a little different than Jude Bellingham, where he had a possible suspension. We knew Mera Demiral was getting suspended for Turkey. He did the Grey Wolf symbol, which I've mentioned on my podcast. It was like the NWO Wolfpack symbol in the WCWA days. And this symbol has mixed reviews. Some people refer to it as this is our culture in Turkey. This is our identity. But most associate it with the fascist organization Grey Wolves that hate everything that's not Turkish. So, I mean, for people in Turkey that preach this nationalism, they're feeling it's a proud group. But the racism stemming from it and the hatred towards others, you can't really get behind that. And you can see why UEFA suspended him 2 games, even though a lot of Turkish people did not agree with the call. But this game would go on, and the Dutch looked more likely to open the scoring, but it would be Turkey getting an unlikely corner kick, and after the initial cross, Arda Güler would send a tasty cross into the box where it was met by Samet Ekidin, and Turkey led 1-0 after just minutes into the game. 10 minutes into the second half, Real Madrid youngster Güler kept up the great play and put his free kick off the post. The game stayed 1-0. After really cranking up the pressure, the Dutch would get a corner kick and they'd take it short, where Memphis Depay's cross would get met by a wide open Steven De Vrij. Nobody was on him, and his header found the back of the net, tying the game after 70 minutes. Not even 6 minutes later, Dumfries' low cross was sent into the box, and it looked a tough one to defend. Cody Gakpo looked to score, but on the replay, it showed Turkish defender Mert Molter put it into his own net. Tough break for him, giving the Netherlands their first lead 2-1 after 76 minutes. So in minutes, Netherlands went from being down 1-0 to up 2-1. And this time it'd be Turkey's time to crank up the pressure, and they had numerous chances to equalize, including a stoppage time attempt that was wonderfully saved by Dutch keeper Bart Verbruggen. And stoppage time continued. Tempers Flare, a Turkish substitute, who didn't even get in the game. Yildirim would pick up a red card for his dissent, and Netherlands would hold on for a 2-1 comeback victory and advance to the semifinals of the Euros for the first time in 20 years, as they'll take on England. Which brings us to the semifinals predictions here. Today, July 9th, my wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary, Caitlin. Love you. Spain takes on France. So this is a battle of the titans. As I mentioned, Spain will be missing a few key pieces against France. Defenders Robin Lenormand, Danny Caraval both picked up those cards, and they'd be suspended for this game. Those defensive holes could open up some space for a France team, as I mentioned, who have not scored in open play all tournament. I feel Spain always has a threat to put 2 or 3 goals past you, but they'll be without midfielder Pedri, who I mentioned had to leave the game against Germany. The 21-year-old will miss the rest of the tournament, so that's a bit of a bugger for them. But are those holes in the Spanish side enough to inspire some French goals? I mean, something's telling me the France will need more than 1 goal to win this game. Masked Kylian Mbappe has looked more like an impersonator than an actual superhero, but I think today is where we get to see that superhero cape fit and look perfect on him. I figure Mbappe is going to score. Kylian Mbappe, if he doesn't, he's going to be setting up a nice one here. I figure France will get some open game goals, and they're going to beat Spain, advancing to the Euro Cup finals. Some haven't liked how they played this tournament, but it's not about how you play sometimes. It's how you finish and what the results are. And I see France going to their second consecutive final in big tournaments, having played against Argentina in the Qatar World Cup in 2022. The other semifinal features another bout of big names, some players that are familiar with each other. Wednesday, July 10th, we'll have England taking on the Netherlands. England has almost stumbled into the semifinals, playing some uninspired footy with just enough to squeak by. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to beat a Netherlands team who, other than Spain, have been one of the more entertaining watches of the tournament. Netherlands' Cody Gakpo shares the golden boot lead with 3 goals and has looked great this tournament. Anytime he gets the ball near the 18, he's a legitimate threat to score from anywhere. He can come in or he can set people up. Great player. He looks a lot better here than he has with his time in Liverpool. But, well, anyway, anytime, like I said, he gets it, there's a chance to score. But there is a little bit of drama in this one. The official for this match, German ref Felix Zweyer, and he's got some history with Jude Bellingham. In 2021, when Jude Bellingham played with Borussia Dortmund, the Englishman received a fine for criticizing the official after a 3-2 loss to Bayern Munich. Bellingham brought up Zweyer's 6-month ban for match fixing in 2005 and said, "You give me a referee that has match fixed before the biggest game in Germany, what do you expect?" And this all stemmed after Zweyer had awarded Bayern a penalty early in the match, but hopefully that past shit stays just where it should. In the past, no one wants a game decided by an official, especially this late in a tournament. I'm a little worried about England in this one. I feel they'll test the heart as they do in every game. Keep your AED handy. And I imagine they'll get a late winner to knock out the Dutch side. And I'd like to say it'll be Harry Kane or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if it'd be Saka again to the rescue. Or even an unlikely goal by John Stones or something. Regardless, thinking England squeaks out another victory, setting up a very juicy final with the French. And now I'm predicting as the Euro Cup final will go down Sunday, July 14th. And if all goes As your boy Ren City says, England will take on France in one of the oldest rivalries in history, not just sports. There'll be plenty to talk about in this one. And I actually see France grabbing an early lead, whether a penalty or an open goal game. But then in England, will look finished, but they'll get a late equalizer and they'll win in penalties, taking the stigma off England that they can't win in penalty shootouts, as they'll win it and win their first ever European Championship, their first major tournament win since the '66 World Cup. We'll all have to swallow our pride and give congratulations to Gareth Southgate. And France will be disappointed as they drop 2 consecutive major tournament finals. I mean, that's a lot to a wrap, predicting on predicting on predicting. No repeat. We'll see what happens. But from the Euros to the Copa Americas, the quarterfinal with Argentina and Ecuador. This was a nice South American bout with the current World Cup holders, Argentina, facing off with Ecuador. The game seemed even, but Argentina had a bit of an edge. And in the 35th minute from a corner kick, the ball will get headed to Manchester United's Lisandro Martinez, who easily knocked it into the net, giving Argentina the 1-0 lead after 35 minutes. The second half, and Ecuador would get a corner kick. The ball would come into the box, striking an Argentinian hand, resulting in a penalty chance. Former West Ham man Enner Valencia would step up and beat Emilio Martinez, but he would not beat the post. The ball struck the post, stayed out, and Argentina kept their 1-0 lead. In stoppage time, the Ecuador substitutes would combine. Yeboah's cross would get met by Kevin Rodriguez, who got just enough on it to put it past Martinez, tying the game in the 91st minute. The first goal Argentina allowed all tournament. Copa America, there's no extra time other than the finals, so this match would go to penalties, and you could hear a pin drop from the Argentina faithful as first penalty taker Lionel Messi put his shot off the crossbar, giving Ecuador the quick advantage, but that was quickly snatched back by Emi Martinez. He stopped Angel Mena on Ecuador's first attempt. Man City's Julian Alvarez would smash his shot into the top corner, giving Argentina the lead. And Ecuador's Alan Minda looked to equalize, but his shot would get stopped by Martinez. From there, the rest of the shooters scored, and Argentina's Nicolas Otamendi tucked his penalty in the corner, clinching the 4-2 win on penalties as the number 1 ranked team in the world moved on. And Argentina punched their ticket to the semifinals. Well, Ecuador bowed out of the tournament with a tough loss to literally one of the best teams in the world. You think a great run like that would get some praise. However, Ecuador fired manager Felix Sanchez right after the game. I know their tournament play wasn't ideal, but making it to the quarterfinals and going toe-to-toe with Argentina, it's not the worst outcome. I mean, the USA have done far worse than that, and they still have their manager, but I'm thinking they'll let him go soon. Berhalter, which time might be numbered there. Venezuela and Canada. Canada surprised many by even getting out of the group stages. They had themselves a date with Group B winners Venezuela. As I said, Venezuela were unbeaten in group stages and felt confident coming into the match. Their confidence would get shaken a bit by the Canadians after Canada applied some early pressure, ending with Jacob Schaffelberg poking the ball in the net and giving Canada the 1-0 lead after 13 minutes. Canada had great chances, but they could not double their lead. Venezuela got some good ones, and they couldn't equalize. Both teams missing great chances. Canada wasn't sitting back, and in the second half, they'd get another corner chance, but that corner would not go as planned. And suddenly, Venezuela was counterattacking the other way. This counterattack only had one player, but that player happened to be Salomon Rondon, and he caught Canadian keeper Maxime Crépeau way off his line, executing the perfect chip that was almost at halfway line, embarrassing Crépeau and tying the game at 1 after 64 minutes. There'd be more chances, no more goals, and just like the game before it, this one would go to penalties. The first shooters of penalties made it look easy. Venezuela's goal scorer, Rondon's, he scored easy, followed by Jonathan David. The next shot takers didn't make it look so easy. Venezuela's Yangel Herrera missed the net to the left. Then Canada's Liam Miller thought he was in the CFL and put it through the uprights, putting it way over the net. The third shot takers each scored. Venezuela's Thomas Rincon blasted it. Canada's Moise Bombito, after some hesitation, put it in. The four shooters, more trouble. Jefferson Savarino had his shot stopped by Canada's Maxime Crépeau. And Canada's Stefan Eustachio had a brutal, soft penalty attempt that was easily saved, keeping the trend of scoring after a miss. Venezuela's John Derquettes would convert his attempt, followed by Canadian captain Alphonso Davies. This brought us to our 6 shooters with us still squared at 3. Wilker Angel's attempt was very premeditated, and Crepeau could see it a mile away, making the big save, setting up new Marseille man Ismail Kone with a chance to clinch it, and the youngster Kone calmly slotted it into the corner, clinching the 4-3 win on penalties and punching Canada's ticket to the semifinals. The magical run for Canada continues as they stun more South American competition, moving on to the semis. Colombia and Panama, the only other CONCACAF team left in the Copa American tournament. Panama had a very difficult task ahead of them taking on Colombia. And right from the get-go, you felt Colombia were kind of a step ahead. They'd get an early corner kick where John Cordoba would head the ball in, giving Colombia the 1-0 lead after just 8 minutes. Not even 5 minutes later, Arias would get taken down by the Panama keeper, resulting in a penalty chance where Yames Rodriguez would step up blast it home, doubling Colombia's lead after 15 minutes. Liverpool's Luis Diaz showed off some outrageous skill, meeting a long ball and finishing masterfully. It was super nice. You got to check that out. Giving Colombia the 3-0 lead after 41 minutes. Second half to continue to go to Colombia's way, and in the 70th minute, everyone was looking at the Colombian player down in the box, but no one kept their eyes on Richard Rios, who blasted his shot from outside the 18, beating the keeper to make it 4-0. Panama really wanted a goal to spoil that clean sheet, but they left themselves open where Colombia would go on a run and get another penalty. This time, Miguel Borja would step up and he'd score from the spot. Colombia, 5-0 win as they strut into the semifinals. Uruguay took on Brazil in a battle of two great South American teams that could have been a final, and no one would have batted an eye. Brazil would be shorthanded, though, as Real Madrid superstar Vinicius Jr. would miss the match due to suspension from yellow cards. And Uruguay would go a man down after VAR upgraded a yellow card to a red. It was pretty blatant, a very dangerous tackle by Nandez. He did not like the call, and he took his time leaving the pitch. And Brazil turned the pressure up from there, but could not find the game's first goal. And as mentioned previously, Copa does not go to extra time. So this match went right to penalties, where Federico Valverde opened up the shootout with a goal for Uruguay. Brazil's Militao would step up and have his shot denied by Uruguayan keeper Sergio Roche. Bentancur would score for Uruguay, followed by Brazil's Andreas Pereira. Arrascaeta would score again for Uruguay. Then Douglas Luiz would step up and put it off the post, giving Uruguay a chance to clinch it with their next shot. Jose Jimenez's shot would be denied by Liverpool's Alisson Becker. And then Arsenal's Martinelli would step up to keep Brazil alive. But then Manuel Ugarte would step up and put away his shot, clinching the 4-2 win in shootout. And Uruguay knocked Brazil out, sending their Copa America dreams down in flames. But big win for Uruguay, who have looked like one of the best teams all tournament. So that brings us to some semifinal predictions in the Copa. As I said before with the Euro games, today, July 9th, men's Canadian footy has their biggest game in history. I mentioned we keep saying that as Canada keeps winning, but this time Canada faces off with the number one ranked team in the world, the current World Cup holders, Argentina. We know Canada faced off with Argentina to open this tournament in Group A play way back on June 20th. A lifetime ago. Canada has grown so much since that game, but Argentina's played pretty damn well too. Argentina beat Canada 2-0 in their first matchup, with Argentina dominating possession at 65% and forcing Canada's Maxime Crepeau into making some massive saves. I'm not going to lie, this is not just an uphill battle for Canada. This is Canada facing off with the steepest of uphill peaks. Argentina is the favorite and 100% deserve to be the favorite. All analytics and signs are pointing to Argentina getting to the finals, but here I am, sounding like a delusional Canadian again, thinking we have a chance here. There's no question Argentina is going to dominate possession. That's what they do. That stat's inevitable. The key will be cohesion on the back end for Canada and taking advantage of whatever little opportunities come their way. Canada missed so many chances against Venezuela. If they miss those today, they're gone. Simple as that. Missing Tajon Buchanan's obviously huge for Canada, but this team is kind of rallying behind their injured teammate. Jacob Schaffelberg can continue to put his name on the map by just running, and he gets into the spots you need him to be. Being the underdog, Canada can really leave it all out there. No one predicted them to get this far in the tournament, so they're playing with house money. Argentina's not really a team affected by pressure, but can you imagine the headlines in Argentina if they lose to Canada in footy? That'd be monumental. We may have to call up Al Michaels for his iconic "Do you believe in miracles?" call from the 1980 Winter Olympic team. But that game's tonight. tune in for Canada to sneak by maybe 1-0 and win, please. Anyway, the other semifinal goes down tomorrow, Wednesday, July 10th, and got a final look to it as well. Uruguay and Colombia have looked like two of the best teams all tournament, so having them meet in the semifinals is really something else. Colombia throttled Panama, and a 10-man Uruguay side beat Brazil in penalties, so this game could go either way. You have stars all over the pitch on both sides. The Liverpool teammates facing off. Colombia's Luis Diaz going up against Uruguay's Darwin Nunez. Expecting a very physical game, lots of fouls, lots of displays of skill. This is going to be one of the hardest games for me to call because I really feel it could go any way. There could be a blowout from either team. It could go down the wire. But I'm saying Colombia ends Uruguay's great run in this tournament, and Colombia beats them maybe 3-2. I'm hoping something high scoring to advance to the final, where here I am predicting on predicting again. And as if any of this comes to fruition, I'll look like a genius. But yes, I'm not huffing glue right now. I just have a coffee cup here. But I am saying Canada will shock Argentina. But this is where I can become the Buzz Killington, because the final will go down Sunday, July 14th. And Canada, I'm predicting the face-off with Colombia. And I feel Canada's going to be riding that high, beating Argentina so much. They're going to come out a little flat against the team you cannot come out flat against. Colombia is really good, and I see them facing off with Canada. This is all sounding crazy, not even real, but this is what I'm thinking. Colombia will face off with Canada, and they'll end up crushing them, unfortunately, 3-0, and Colombia will win the Copa America. I hope I'm wrong on that one, and Canada can continue to shock the world, but that's the way I see it. So you heard it here first from the Ren City special. Not quite episode 69 yet. Not quite my NBA recap. I'm dipping my hands in all the cookie jars, and as you see, it is showing. But here we go for the Euros. I have England winning the Euros, and I have Colombia winning the Copa America. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully it comes to fruition and I look like Nostra City. But who knows? These things are tough to call. I could be wrong on every single one of these. But thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the games. Hopefully they're good ones. And yeah, tune in for my episode 69 kicking out soon, and my NBA podcast episode that's been shelved longer than, peanut butter on the shelf at your grandma's house. But we'll see what happens here. Like I said, thanks again for tuning in. Keep your eyes on those footy scores, and we'll see you next time. Ren City out.